Prescription for Total Wellness, and I'm your host, Dr. Joy. My guests today are embarking on something that is very prevalent, very new. We all need it, okay? No, I'm not going to tell you. We're going to do the 3 deep breaths first, and then I'll bring you in, and then you'll know, all right? Are we ready? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. How do you feel? I know I feel great. I'm going to just read something. Did you know approximately 1 in 5 adults in the U.S., that would be 43.8 million people, experience mental illness in a given year? I didn't know that, but my guests let me know. But less than half of the adults in the U.S. with a mental health condition receive mental health services in the past year, according to National Alliance on Mental Health. Now, my guests, after experiencing their own struggles with depression, co-founders Jeff Dorchester and Dion Gonzales created iRel8. As mental wellness challenges continue to impact individuals and communities across the globe, new solutions are needed to provide access to help 24/7 by 365 in a safe, confidential way to ensure there is no stigma associated with the need for mental help. Welcome, welcome, Jeff and Dion to the Dr. Joy Show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll call one of you John, huh?
That's a good one.
John, Dion, it rhymes, kind of,
right.
sort of. Now, can each one of you share a little bit about you and how you guys melded to come together to form iRel8?
Sure. So Jeff and I met about almost a decade ago at a company that bought another company of mine. I'm a serial entrepreneur, mainly in marketing automation, database analytics. It created a loyalty marketing platform that we'd sold a few times. And at one of the companies, that's where I initially met Jeff. Mm-hmm. And then the larger part of that was based on payments and marketing automation, kind of creating an ecosystem behind that. We sold a company called Loyal Me in 2015, co-founded another payments processing company called Monetary, which we left in 2017. And Jeff and I knew we wanted to work together again. It's just a matter of what are we going to do. So we tossed around a bunch of ideas. And then Jeff called me one night and said that he had a great app idea and that he was going through some things. And I said, I can't talk right now. I'm going through some things with the family. So he said, well, call me back. And that's how this whole thing kind of started.
Dion, wow. Just like that. So Jeff?
Yeah, so I had gone through some health problems. I went through AFib, where my heart wasn't working too well, and the meds they gave me weren't working very well either. And a few days into this issue that I'd never had before, I ended up code red in a trauma center.
Oh, geez.
And they had to shock me and get my heart working right again. So after that, there were a lot of series of doctor visits with cardiologists and all these new pills that they tried to have me take to make my heart work right. But what they didn't tell me was your head wasn't going to start working right. So I started dealing with things around having a heart issue and not knowing where my health was going, not knowing what the rest of my life would be like, and every day living in fear, which started to bring on things like depression, anxiety, and maybe that was from a little bit of PTSD from getting my heart shocked. So I really ended up hiding all these things until one day I kind of realized that there are solutions to get yourself out of that little rut, right? And I found that talking to people online that you maybe not know or be face-to-face, that allowed you to get something out. And so that one night I said to him, I said, look, I got this idea about a chat app where we can get people together that are dealing with similar issues around mental health and allow them to talk and find out that they're not alone.
This is very timely, of course, with recent events we had 2 iconic folks take their lives, and that means they were battling with something. But if you looked at them on the outside, you wouldn't know.
Right, exactly.
All right. So let's talk about the mission. What is the mission of iRel8?
So iRel8, we know that people have an innate need to belong and to be with one another.
Right.
So we created iRel8 as a platform for those people to get together to help and heal.
So what do you hope people take away from it? The help and the healing piece?
Yes.
Do you coach?
No. So one thing iRel8 is a coaching or counseling app. It's peer-to-peer, where, as Jeff said, people can help and heal each other. So if you're suffering through depression, you would go into the depression room as an example. And an anonymous peer that's been there, done that, might offer some advice that's relevant to you. You may not be at a crisis level at that particular point in your life,
Right.
but you just need somebody to talk to. We're doing work with veterans organizations, first responders, organizations that are helping celebrities, athletes, artists, and also other organizations that are helping teens and young adults of color with these types of situations, where they can go in and chat with a peer to see if I really need help. We say that, you know, crisis doesn't wait for an appointment, so they're going to go in and talk to somebody that they feel that can relate to them, pun intended, right? So they can relate to that person and then understand if they really do need to escalate that and talk to a person. So it's not a coaching or a counseling app, it's a peer-to-peer chat app.
So you mentioned different rooms, the depression room. How many different rooms do you have within the app?
Oh, what do we have?
We have a bunch. Let's say 20 to 30, depending on how the app is used by you. We have certain organizations like first responders in general that have access to other rooms to be able to talk to first responders and really cope with some of the individual challenges that first responders face, for instance, that you or I may not know or have ever dealt with, right?
Right.
So, but in general, you know, we have rooms for PTSD and anxiety, depression, all sorts of categories of mental health. And it really gives people an opportunity to find others that have been there, done that, walked in their shoes a mile, you know, and so that you can actually use talk therapy to get you through things, right?
Right.
We know that counseling really is needed when there's the time for that, but there's also that time before that, where sometimes you just need to know that you're okay.
That you're okay and you're not alone.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, and also get some relevant ideas on how to start coping with things, right? Before you start spiraling.
Right. So how does iRel8 work? So pretend I'm a user. So what do I have to do? What is the website? And then what will I see? Like, take me through it.
Yeah, so iRel8 is a social network for mental health.
Okay.
Available today on the app stores, iRel8, I-R-E-L, the number 8. And you'll simply go download the app. Once you download the app, you're automatically put into what we call the global room. This is a global room where you can talk to everybody. You'll see the various categories. One of them is something just isn't right. So a lot of people don't diagnose themselves. They shouldn't, right? So I think the statistic that you rolled out, the 1 in 5, and I don't think that's only American, Dr. Joy, I think it's global. I think this is a global epidemic. People haven't identified it. They don't know what to look for. But I think if we identify it, everybody could identify it, it would be much more like 50%, maybe 75%.
Whoa.
Because we all deal with these kind of issues.
Okay, yeah.
They can go into something isn't right room and start talking immediately with folks. And then based on that, your friends or the peers can say, oh, you should join the addiction room as an example, or the impulse room. Beyond that, you can even get into more segregated groups in terms of like Alcoholics Anonymous, but in a virtual setting. So if you have a group of peers that you're chatting with, that you say, I'm ready to kind of disclose a little bit more about myself, but I want to do it with these 10 individuals, you can invite them, you create a private group, and then that group is by invite only. So a further layer of connection for our users.
Is the app free?
No, we're not a free app. We are a subscription model where we charge just 99 cents a month for users.
Okay.
And that does a couple of things. It keeps ads out of the way because we're here to help each other. And it also allows us to have a layer of protection against people that might go in and try to be a cyber bully or a troll. Because we don't need that.
No, you don't.
And luckily we haven't seen that in the app so far. So it's great that there is a community that is acting in a way that we had hoped. And that's really people there to help other people.
And what makes, oh, you wanted to say something.
Yeah,
Go
just
ahead.
to add on to that, because I think this is important given the current environment is that we're not looking to sell the data and monetize the data.
And that's
behind
probably what makes one of the things that makes iRel8 unique, right?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of the apps want to capture the information and then they sell it to somebody else.
Precisely, and then you have scandal and a whole other different show altogether, right?
Yes.
So what do people seem to be seeking the most help for, based on what you've seen thus far?
Yeah, it really varies. I think what we're generally seeing is a lot of anxiety. A lot of folks going into
That would make
anxiety.
sense.
Yeah, because it's one of those where people understand that they aren't sleeping well at night. There's a bunch of thoughts running through their head. They don't really know how to deal with that. So they'll go in and chat with one another about that. We see individuals dealing, of course, with addiction. We see a lot of folks that are dealing with ECT treatments, electronic shock therapy.
Really?
Which we weren't really aware was still around, but it's definitely out there.
I didn't think it was around. Well, okay. I think for extreme cases.
And apparently it's highly effective. We'll talk a little bit later about the story that we have behind that, but it's highly effective.
Wow. So what is your perspective about the power of technology with respect to mental wellness?
Well, technology with respect to mental wellness is key to what we're trying to do here and key to what we're trying to accomplish. So we've partnered with Microsoft to have them help us build a scalable platform that can go global. So we want to use our technology to connect people, obviously, to be able to create this platform, but also to cross borders. We're bringing in some translation services that Microsoft has that will allow people in 63 different languages to be able to chat back and forth, but see everything in your own native language and in real time.
So you are truly a global app.
Well, we're building it that way.
We want to be the global leader in mental health and social network mental health.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, because mental health doesn't have a border. Mental health doesn't have a boundary, right? Mental health is something that people deal with, and we're all people no matter where we're at.
And there's no time limit on it. There's no date, no time limit, and it doesn't discriminate.
That's right.
I should say.
That's
right.
Exactly.
So let's talk about how you're going to expand your mission. You are building on the Azure cloud and were just accepted into Microsoft, right? Can you share what this means to you and how you're going to expand more to get it out to more people? Is it the translation or is it beyond that?
Oh, it's definitely beyond that. The translation services offer the ability for us to serve a global network literally within a matter of months versus years. In our previous life, we had built software that was in 18 countries, 6 different languages. It took us some time to do that. By working with Microsoft, we're able to accelerate that probably tenfold. So it's really ramping that up. The real-time component of it is huge. Also, we're building on world-class architecture. So people in Bangladesh, as an example, are going to have a data center close to them where they're not going to experience any delays. That's a major issue when you're trying to scale globally. That's not going to be an issue for us based on the Microsoft architecture that we're working on. They also have some great things. We're data people. We enjoy these things behind predictive analytics and being able to understand what people are saying. And that can serve a couple of different things in the app. Number one is preventative, where if we see somebody starting to spiral, we can alert them within the app to connect them to a mental health professional.
So are you guys in the app all the time?
Both.
Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and
you're
it's beautiful to see the interaction in the app.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then that means you can pinpoint and redirect.
That's right. Pinpoint, redirect, and also from a moderation standpoint. So if anybody is saying anything inappropriate, which we haven't had, the community is helping and healing each other, which is fantastic. But if somebody does say something inappropriate, we can also use bots to track that language and then alert them and us that this is inappropriate. This is not part of the terms and conditions of the use of the app.
So you mentioned before when we were in the green room that you had 1 or 2 stories you wanted to share. Do you want to share them now?
Yeah, do you want it? Yeah, okay. So
you take one, you take
all
it.
right, yeah. So I think one of the most poignant stories is, and it's heartfelt. You see these and it touches you on a daily basis when you read these. We had a young man who downloaded the app. His parents committed him into an institution. He was angry about it, obviously, and he's texting us through the app saying, why the heck are my parents doing this to me? I'm stuck in here. I'm isolated. I don't know what to do. And the community's talking to him like, what happened? And just offering support. You can friend people on the app as well. He friended us. He was sending me a message late one night saying, thank you for building this app. I have no contact out of to the external world as a result of being institutionalized. He was getting ECT treatments, right? So he was in there for the better part of 2 to 3 weeks. He's about to come out, and he starts having some anxiety about coming out and going back into school, because what's he going to tell his peers? So he asked the community.
Because there was a block of time that he kind of disappeared.
That's right. It's like, where's Billy? All of a sudden, Billy comes back in 3 weeks later. Where have you been? He didn't know how to answer that question.
Okay.
The community came in, said, this is what you say. And they gave him various suggestions. Everything from, it's none of your business, to, you had a medical condition that you had to deal with and you feel great now. Use what you want. So he went back to school the next day. He came back into the app, excited. Thank you, everybody, for helping me out. I went back to school, said I had a medical condition, explained that to them, and it was over, because I feel so good about this. So that was the community doing what we intended the app to do, and that's helping each other and healing one another.
That's a really great story. Do you have another one?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
and this one I think is just more general, and it's a theme that is ongoing, and that is the sense of community that happens inside the app. So we have people that come in that might be having a bad day, bad week, losing a job, whatever it might be, going through a actual depression moment, right? Having that horrible thing happening to them that riddles so many people. And when they get in there, they're not alone, right? They're talking to other people that are doing the exact same things. They're going through the same struggles. And they start to be there for one another and say, hey, you got this, man. Go, good luck tomorrow with that job interview. You can do this. And that's something that their head maybe wasn't saying to them, because there's that little voice inside sometimes that's...
Womp, womp, womp.
Exactly.
Charlie Brown teacher.
So to have that community there, to have those people that aren't looking at the stigma behind it, or the burden of, hey, just deal with that, right? Someone who's
That's
actually
really
there that says,
insensitive.
no, I get it, and here's how you can do it. And you can do it. Go do it. So I think that community is what we've based this on. And we're seeing that people are there to help and heal. And that's the important part, because sometimes you need the help, and other times it feels good to help another person.
Well, that's the best gift you can give is something that can help someone else.
That's right.
So that's a great thing. Now let's shift a little bit and talk about security and privacy. Do you feel that users' personal information on iRel8 is confidential and protected from security issues?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And can you elaborate on that? Because, we deal with that every day. You never know if a drone is, if there's some like mic, hidden in the door and in somebody's pen. Privacy is a huge issue. So how do you make sure that that's like nailed down?
Yeah, and it's an extremely valid concern, right? But the way that we deal with data security, a couple things. Number one is Microsoft has world-class, again, data encryption and all the tools that you're going to need. We also built the app so that you don't have to ever identify yourself. You have an email address, which is contained in one part of the app. That can be a fake email address. It doesn't really matter to us.
Really?
Then you have a username. That's in another part of the app. In between those, there's a token. That token essentially anonymizes that connection. And they're stored differently. So if there was somebody that wanted to hack the system, there's no payment information, there's nothing personally identifiable, they would get a bunch of people trying to help each other. I'm not sure that that's really relevant data they can sell on the dark web, but but if they wanted to, they could maybe pull some conversations. It's not a valid use case in our opinion, and it's so sectioned that I think we won't ever see that.
So it's airtight.
It's as
Pretty airtight?
It's pretty airtight.
So if you had to say that there was one particular impact that the app is making, what would it be?
I would say the biggest impact it's having is changing lives. It's giving people an outlet that they've never had before. It's sort of this hole we filled in the system. It was always either you don't talk about it or you try to bother your friend or hide from the stigma,
Right.
or find a counselor and a clinical approach to something. But that stopgap in the middle just wasn't there. So by making this app and creating this place to have this talk therapy between individuals, like-minded individuals, we've given people the ability to say that there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? Or I can deal with these things day to day, or now it's time to go see a professional, you know?
Right.
So that intermediate area is really what's giving people that hope every day. And you'll see people jump back in and just saying, hey, I'm doing great today, how's everyone else? You know, and that's neat to have that will
interaction.
and that interaction, exactly.
So, but you know what else you've done too? You filled the gap between people that don't have insurance and the ones that do.
That's right.
Yes.
Because even if you do have insurance, I think there's a limit or there's some kind of cap sometimes about how much money one is allocated towards mental
health services.
Yeah. Services.
Yeah.
So, but 99 cents a month, and it's unlimited within that month,
Yes.
I take it?
It's absolutely.
So I would say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most people have 99 cents.
Yes,
A month.
absolutely.
And if it's for their mental sanity, it's a good spend. But they might not have the hundreds of dollars to spend on a therapist.
Exactly.
There's
every week.
another component of that, Dr. Joy, that I think is very important because we're seeing this in some of the communities that we serve. So we're able to open up the dialogue, provide access 24/7, help stop the stigma. But really where that impact, we're starting to see it is in different groups. So veterans organizations like the Green Beret Association is a partner of ours. First responders, we're working with the city of Lakewood in Colorado to roll this out for policemen, firefighters, EMTs, dispatch. As I mentioned before, through the I Live For organization, Nikki Weber Allen, she's an Emmy Award winner, TED speaker as well. And she's focusing, we're working together to stop the stigma with young adults and teens of color. Another recent partnership that we have is with We're All a Little Crazy. Crazies in quotes. Founded by Eric Kissen. He was in the professional sports industry for 15 years. And the sole purposes of us working together is to stop the stigma and bring athletes, celebrities, and artists together. They have what they call the Same Here movement. They've got this little hand signal, which I guess is same here in sign language. And the whole basis of that is that we're all people, that we deal with these life struggles, regardless of your stature or your professional basis. But by creating this app, we're flattening the world, if you will, in mental health.
Yes.
It's kind of a mental evolution, if you will, because now all these different groups are able to talk about mental health issues where they couldn't before.
I think it's a wonderful thing. So is there you have a chance to share additional information? Anything you want to add? Anything?
Yeah, you know, I think the big important thing around getting the word out is to let people know. Don't always assume that everyone's okay. I had worked with Dion for almost a decade. I went through my struggles for a couple of years, and then one day I decided to tell him, because I said, you know, I don't need to hold on to this alone inside.
And how did you feel when you released it?
It was empowering, right? So had I not told him, he would have never known. So if I learned about iRel8 and I thought, wow, that is a great way to help somebody with depression, let's say, and I didn't know that he had depression or not, and I just didn't mention it to him because I thought he was fine. Well, then he would have never found his hopeful new outlet, so to speak, right? So it's always important to just spread the word, right? Let people know. Did you hear that there's a new way that people are trying to fight the stigma and stop this stigma of even talking about problems or having a problem? It's okay. You know, for instance, one thing that we've been trying to change is this concept of PTSD. You know, a disorder. No, there's no disorder. It's really PTSI. You have an injury.
It's an injury,
right?
Not a disorder.
And you can get through an injury. It's kind of like blowing out a knee. You know, you have to work on the knee. You gotta rehab it. Well, the mind works the same way in a lot of cases, right? So how can we work out your mind to help it heal and get you through that injury so that you can come out the other side and be good again? You know, it takes time, but there is a way. You know, you're not supposed to just be cordoned off into a corner and see ya. You know, you got a mental health issue.
Yeah, ooh, don't want to talk
Right?
to
No,
you.
so let's talk. Let's get
Right.
it out there in the open. Let's work through things.
What I love about this app, right, iRel8, you guys have built a platform that is a no judgment zone, because that's where the anxiety comes from. When people
Absolutely.
have it, they have an issue. They feel as though if they want to share it with someone, they're going to be judged. And so you tell one person, you tell the person over here, and you trust that they're going to be Fort Knox, and then next thing you know, they're telling their friend.
Right.
And when you eventually meet that friend that they've already told, you can definitely tell they have shared something about you, and then you start to retreat.
Right.
So with iRel8, it's a no judgment zone.
It's absolutely
Love
Exactly.
it.
That's right.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Tell us where we can get access to it again.
Yeah, so
As
it's
we
on the
wrap
app
up?
stores, Apple, iOS, Android, Google Play.
Open your shirt.
iRel8.
iRel8.
Right here.
Okay, so they
iRel8, the number 8.
www, right?
.org, yep.
.org.
iRelate.org, or go to the app stores. You can download it today and join the community, be part of the solution. One of the things that I'll finish with, Dr. Joy, is that there's a lot of awareness around mental health.
Yeah.
It's time to take action. It's time to put action to the awareness, because that's the way that we're going to beat this thing as a global community.
I would agree with you. And I want to end by saying thank you for being guests on the Dr. Joy Show. And I know you were guests on the Joy of Living show as well, the radio show. And congratulations, Jeff and Dion.
Thank
oh,
you.
my goodness.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Much
Dr. Joy.
success to you in the future.
Thank you.
All right.
you.
So, for my viewers, if you are going through something, it's okay. Log on to, download www.iRel8. Wait, did I say it right? www.iRel and the number 8.org. Okay? Because you're not alone. Until next time, stay healthy, be blessed. See ya!